Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, my name's Tyler and I just do consistent content, all things related hockey and the NHL overall. And yes, the Boston Bruins defeated the Carolina Hurricanes in a very impressive fashion. This was a series that I really expected to go all the way to 7 games and viewed Carolina as having a very strong shot. So seeing Boston really play like the Boston of old that we've known throughout this past regular season, really performing better than what they did in the round robin, shutting down the Carolina Hurricanes. And in this game, best of 7 series, only needing 5 games in doing so was quite impressive. So that's what I'll be discussing with you today. My thoughts on this series and what is next going forward for these two teams from the Eastern Conference. And of course, not just the Boston Bruins, but also the Carolina Hurricanes. But are you new to the channel? If so, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. If you end up enjoying this kind of hockey content, thank you all so much that's been following me thus far and that have seen my previous videos today regarding other eliminations to these playoff series and help us reach 1K. We passed 400 subscribers. Once we get a 1K, I can start doing live streams. I can give you commentary on things like actual playoff games or normal regular season games, just live streaming, talking all things hockey, and of course stuff regarding the draft, either leading up to the draft or when the draft actually happens. A lot of great stuff. So make sure you hit that subscribe button if you end up enjoying this video. But without further ado, let's get right into it. What a series this was. I have my Boston jersey on right now, and yes, it's not a normal Boston jersey. It's actually a Happy Gilmore jersey because I'm not a Boston Bruins fan. But look, I love this jersey, and Boston outplayed Carolina big time in a lot of the situations in this series. And going into this series, Carolina, as we all know, swept the New York Rangers in only 3 games in that best-of-5 series in the qualifying round. I thought Carolina was honestly going to come in hot and have a strong chance of beating the Boston Bruins in 7 games because I saw what Boston did in the round robin, not looking good at all. And as we know from previous playoff rounds, normally teams that don't go into playoffs hot have a tendency to struggle a little bit and gain the offense going or whatever it may be. So that was my fault though for not picking Boston in this series from the get-go, because realistically all year long I've had Boston as a cup favorite, a team that would make perfect sense to go all the way back to the Stanley Cup Finals, knowing that they got this close to winning the cup last year, only failing to the St. Louis Blues, of course. But I think Boston, of course, has a very strong chance. They were the best team defensively in the NHL this year and were very solid offensively as well. Had the best line in hockey between Marchand, Pasta, and Bergeron. When those guys are healthy and clicking, boy, watch out, because that is truly a line to go up against for sure. But look, Boston was a better team in this series. There's no doubting that. And even with Tuukka Rask opting out of playoffs after the first 2 games in this series, Jarl Halak played on his head as I perfectly expected him to. He has been such a solid goaltender throughout the entirety of his career, and I can tell you as a Rangers fan, he is kryptonite against the Rangers at least one, even with his time in Montreal, but especially with the Islanders and with the Bruins. He has always been a pesky guy to go up against the Rangers and plenty of other teams in the league. He's just always been a very solid goalie. Even in the latter years of his career now, he's still showing that he's a very strong goaltender. And in front of that immaculate defense with the Boston Bruins that they have, I'm not surprised at all to see this series fare the way it has. But look, in this series alone, you have the Boston Bruins scoring 15 goals to the Carolina Hurricanes only having 11. And I do believe that Andrei Svechnikov getting hurt a couple games ago was a factor into things. There's no question. He was playing fantastic, was really looking dynamic, not just in the qualifying round, but to start the series. So having a crucial guy in your top 6 out of the lineup for the remainder of the series, that definitely is a big blow. So I think that went into things. Do I think it was drastic? I'm not too sure, honestly. I think Carolina still had a very tough task regardless, but hats off to the Boston Bruins here. They really show that why they are the big bad Bruins once again. Between that offense with Pasta coming back in the lineup after being hurt for a couple games too. Bergeron, who is one of my favorite players in the entire league, is so overlooked, and I don't know why. He's by far one of the best two-way centermen, two-way forwards in the league that the NHL has ever seen, in my opinion. He's just such a sound and solid player. He's not known for being overly flashy or anything like that. He just gets the job done offensively and defensively. He is just perfect, and boy is he good on faceoffs. We all know that though. The guy wins a Selke basically every year and is a finalist because of it, because of all those reasons. But you have David Krejci, who really stepped up in this series as well, led the Boston Bruins in points when it comes to playoffs thus far, went 9 points, had 2 points today. Bergeron also had 2 points. He now has 6 points in total in the playoffs. And then Marchand also has 7 points, and Pasta also had another 2 points in this series, and I believe this was his first game back after being out for a couple with injury. It could be wrong though, so if I am, let me know in the comments below. But Boston really played strong, played a more defensively sound game for sure, but made the shots and made the goals that they had to, and Yarrow made the saves that he needed to in the key moments during these past couple games. So huge hats off to Boston. Yes, Carolina Hurricanes fans, I'm sorry, I definitely was rooting for you at points here. I thought that if the Rangers weren't going to have a possible deep playoff run as a surprise, I thought Carolina very well could have. So seeing them fall short, I do feel bad. I think they have a great team, a very promising future. You know how I feel about them if you see my previous videos. This is only the beginning. Trust me, Carolina still has such an amazing core group, a young core group, and as long as they can kind of get a solidified number one, in my opinion, that offense is only going to get better as well. Good things are going to happen. So I'm interested to see what Carolina does going into this offseason. But now Boston moves on to the second round of playoffs. What is going to happen in this semifinals for the Eastern Conference? They believe, as far as I know, I believe they're going to be facing off against the third seed, because I believe they're the second seed now, being the second team to enter the Eastern Conference semifinals. So let me know in the comments below, Bruins fans, how hyped are you, and who do you want to see Boston face off in that semifinals of all the teams that are available left? So I would love to see it. I very well could be a team like the Flyers if they say don't win today. I'm not sure, or it could be another team. I'm really not sure, but I'm looking forward to seeing the semifinals, and Boston really impressed me a lot in this series, more than I expected them to. Between that offense, of course, Andre Kasha, who hasn't necessarily done a lot yet, I think he is going to be a surprise pick for many for this Boston lineup. Jake DeBrusk has looked solid at times too, and that defense led by the captains Zdeno Chara, Charlie McAvoy looking solid, Matt Grzelcyk, Torrey Krug, the list goes on and on. They have so many weapons on that defense that really gets overlooked at times, but huge hats off to Bruce Cassidy, the head coach. They're so sound. You know what it's like when you're a Boston Bruins fan or just following Boston at all. These are the big bad Bruins. We expect them to have deep playoff runs basically every year, and it's been like that for the past decade for sure. They are just a big, mean, and grizzled team that, even though they are a little older, they will still get it done, and I fully expect them to have another deep playoff run. So Carolina Hurricanes fans, once again, I'm sorry. This is unfortunate. I love Sebastian Aho. I love Teravainen. I love Svechnikov. I love Dougie Hamilton. Jacob Slavin, the best defenseman in the league. You can quote me on that. The stats and the analytics prove it. But he was not able to play in the series, and I think that was huge. Same thing with, I'm sorry, Slavin did play in the series. I'm talking about Brett Pesce as well. Pesce, a top 10, if not top 15 stay-at-home defenseman, was not able to play here. And Dougie Hamilton, as we all know, was still never really 100% in my opinion. So all those things factor in. I get it, but at the end of the day, Boston was the better team here. So hats off to them. I'm very excited to see what the future holds for them and Carolina going into this offseason. So if you're a fan of either team or just a hockey fan overall, let me know in the comments below. How do you feel about this series? Do you think Boston played good? Do you think that they're going to fare well going into the semifinals? Do you think they will possibly make it back to the Stanley Cup for back-to-back years? Let me know in the comments below, because if they do, they have to be the favorite here then, because they were so close against the Blues team from last year, and I'm not sure who they face off. I could very well see a final, of course, whether it be like Colorado and Boston. Time will tell, but overall, this was a very entertaining and fun series to watch with all these injuries aside, and I'm really looking forward to what the future holds for these two teams. So thank you all so much for watching, guys. If you like this video, make sure you hit like and subscribe if you like this kind of hockey content. Check out my other series preview review videos. If you haven't seen them, I would really appreciate it, and expect more today, because at this rate the Colorado series is going to end within an hour or so, an hour or two for sure, if the Arizona can't pick up, and I don't think they will, honestly. And Colorado, I think, just scored again. Yes, they did. Nathan McKinnon just scored. It is 4-0 now. But with that being said, thank you all so much, guys. Check out my previous videos if you haven't, and I'll be back very, very soon.